There are legends in football, and then there is Kenny Dalglish, the man who is Liverpool. To every fan who has ever walked through the Shankly gates, he represents more than a name, more than a memory. He is the living heartbeat of a city that refused to give up. When Liverpool soared to European glory, it was Dalglish's brilliance that lit the path. But when tragedy struck at Hillsborough, it was his compassion, his quiet strength, that held the city together when the rest of the world turned away. This is not just a story about trophies or titles. It's a story about a man who carried the weight of a city's grief on his shoulders and still found the courage to lead with love. From Glasgow's raw working-class streets to the sacred grass of Anfield, Dalglish built bridges between two footballing worlds, Scotland's pride and Liverpool's soul. Tonight, we revisit the life of Sir Kenny Dalglish. Not just as a footballer, not just as a manager, but as a symbol of loyalty, humility and humanity. Because to Liverpool, he will forever be more than a legend. He will always be King Kenny.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love.
When Kenny Dalglish first stepped into Anfield, he wasn't just filling the boots of Kevin Keegan. He was stepping into destiny. The young Scot carried the fire of Celtic in his heart and the determination of Glasgow's working-class soul. Under the guidance of Bob Paisley, he became the new face of Liverpool's dominance in Europe, a player of intelligence, composure and grace. But his real journey began when he moved from player to manager, almost reluctantly, in the aftermath of the Heysel tragedy. It was 1985 and Liverpool needed not just a leader, but a man who understood its spirit. Dalglish became that man. He inherited not just a team, but a legacy, the sacred teachings of the boot room. Inside that modest room beneath Anfield, legends like Bob Paisley, Ronnie Moran, Roy Evans and Tom Saunders shaped a philosophy rooted in humility, unity and quiet excellence. Bob Paisley once asked me if he could sit in on the coaches' meeting, Dalglish later recalled, still in disbelief. Can you imagine that? A man who won everything asking me for permission. That humility defined Liverpool, and it defined Dalglish. He kept Shankly's old desk, refusing a new one. If Shanks, Bob and Joe used it, he said, why shouldn't I? But fate would soon test the limits of even the strongest hearts. On April 15th, 1989, the Hillsborough disaster changed Liverpool forever. 97 lives lost, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, and a club shattered. Dalglish, just 38 at the time, became more than a football manager. He became a pillar of the city's mourning. He attended funerals, comforted families, and stood by the grieving when few others dared to face the pain. He carried the emotional burden of an entire city, quietly, with dignity. Like everyone else, we'd have been much happier if that day had never happened, he once said, his voice heavy with memory. The weight of Hillsborough never left him. It cost him sleep, joy, and eventually his peace. By 1991, he stepped down, not out of failure, but out of exhaustion. He had given everything. In truth, no one could have endured more. For Liverpool fans, his resignation was not an end. It was the ultimate act of love. He had absorbed their pain, and it had consumed him. Yet even in his absence, Dalglish's spirit remained. He had woven himself into the DNA of the club. In every chant, in every banner that waved, "You'll never walk alone." And that connection was not confined to Liverpool alone. In Glasgow, where his journey began, the Celtic faithful still sing his name with reverence. "Home is where you're born," he once said, but Liverpool became the place where I was loved every day. After Hillsborough, when Liverpool played their first match, a friendly at Celtic Park, 60,000 voices joined as one, singing, "You'll never walk alone." It was no longer two clubs. It was one heart beating across borders. Years later, when Liverpool faltered again in 2011, it was only fitting that the call went back to King Kenny. The club, adrift in confusion after years of turmoil, turned to the man who understood what it meant to belong. He returned without fanfare, without slogans, and simply restored belief. He reminded the players and fans alike of what Liverpool stood for: pride, unity, and respect. Within months, the team rediscovered their rhythm. Luis Suarez arrived, controversy followed, but so did passion. The League Cup victory in 2012 wasn't just another trophy. It was a reminder that Liverpool's soul still burned bright. When he left again later that year, Dalglish didn't disappear. He returned as a director in 2013, not for power, but for purpose. 4 years later, the club renamed the Centenary Stand to the Sir Kenny Dalglish Stand, an immortal gesture to a man who had given his life, his strength, and his compassion to the city. Every brick in that stand carries a piece of his story, the laughter of triumph, the silence of grief, and the unbreakable bond between club and community. In many ways, Dalglish represents something that modern football has forgotten, the purity of love between a club and its people. He was never just a player, never just a manager. He was a protector, a father figure, a reminder that football can be more than business or glory. His humility, the same humility that made him keep Shankly's old desk, became a mirror reflecting what Liverpool truly means. Today, when fans pass beneath the sign that bears his name, they remember not the goals or the cups, but the man who stood unshaken when Liverpool wept. His journey from Glasgow to Anfield was never just about football. It was about identity, resilience, and heart. Sir Kenny Dalglish didn't just lead Liverpool, he became Liverpool. As the years pass and football evolves into an industry of money, metrics, and media noise, the story of Sir Kenny Dalglish stands as a reminder of what truly matters. He wasn't defined by contracts or statistics, but by character, by the quiet dignity of a man who led through compassion and conviction. His legacy is not only carved into the bricks of Anfield, but in the hearts of every supporter who still sings his name under the floodlights. For Liverpool fans, Dalglish is more than a hero of the past. He is a living connection between eras, proof that loyalty and humility can outlast time itself. When the crowd roars, "You'll never walk alone," his shadow lingers in every note, echoing through the Sir Kenny Dalglish Stand. He once joked that at 74 he wouldn't last long as a player-manager today. But the truth is, football still needs men like him, the ones who care beyond the pitch, who embody the spirit of the people they represent. Kenny Dalglish will forever be the bridge between pain and pride, between past and present. For Liverpool, he's not just a legend, he's family.
And wanna hate this, although show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.